Hey, hello. Welcome back to the Funk Treatise, 5th edition. Uh, Today, we have two people reading pages 161 through 170. We're going to have Trey Smagur and Penny Tarnopolski. Um, this is another, again, 1 out of 4 that I had re-recorded um, for aesthetic purposes and reasons to when everything's edited together, all together, how it can flow nicely. Um, But also, this is one that is a little weird for me, I guess. Uh, Not weird, but like a unique take. Uh, I can't speak for Penny on her thoughts and what she was experiencing when she was reading these pages in this segment. But she just did not resonate with it at all. And almost to the point of just insulting it and insulting me in a way, in many things. Which I mean, like, this is her experience, and I'm not dismissing her experience. Um, but I don't know. It just seemed that she, in no way, something must have triggered her into a way to just assume that all of this was just a bunch of bullshit, babbling bullshit from an incel, uh, to use her words loosely. Which maybe it may, maybe it is. Maybe it is just babbling words from me. Someone who doesn't really actively seek out sexual relationships. So if I'm involuntary celibate, then okay. Um, but I don't need to defend myself in this. You can listen to the pages your own and judge for yourself on how you feel. Again, this is just from these 10 pages. Um, and so hopefully, if you are someone coming from the other pages, you will understand this further. But I think what happened, if I had to make a guess, is that Penny saw that this is being discussed on 4chan in these pages. And also at this section, um, it is getting a little out there, right? And I understand that. And I understand, again, how when I first presented this information to an open forum and to the public, it wasn't as formed as it is now. And so, yeah, there's some parts that just are like, okay, this sounds like a dude on drugs. And, I was high on life in a way. I was high on this experience. Um, and just wanting to discuss it more. And 4chan was just the one that made it through. Again, as I've mentioned a few times in like this treatise, I have tried posting it throughout several uh, websites and forums and stuff. And depending on where it is, like Reddit, like and our philosophy, like I've shared this a couple times, and they always delete it. They always take it down for some reason or the other. And so it's basically impossible to engage a discourse on philosophy about philosophy. Um, and then other Reddit pages and stuff that they always will mods when you finally call them out and be like, "Why are you taking my stuff down?" They'll be like, "Oh, well, maybe you should try posting here," and then you'll post there. But like these are the subreddits that like don't get much attention and everything. And I've occasionally posted there. I haven't posted there now that this information is a little bit more formed, uh, and I think I'm going to reach back out to other forums like Reddit and stuff once all these videos are up and online and viewable, so that way it's more digestible to people. Because again, most people don't read these days. Well, I can't say that, but a lot of people don't. And from what I'm seeing and hearing from society, there's even like uh, the current Generation Z. Uh, and again, this isn't speaking for everyone, but what I see is like this hate against reading, kind of, um, or not a hate, but just a aversion to. Um, but again, I don't know the entire culture. I don't know the entire generation. I can't judge them for that. That'd be ageist and dismissive, and that ain't my style. But I don't know. Uh, so the first who's going to be reading this is Trey, who I hired after Penny. Um, and I haven't watched these since I received them. So again, I don't really know exactly what to expect again. But I just remember like Penny just not vibing with it at all. So make your own judgments. Again, these are just 10 pages within a 300-page treatise in writing. Um, and I can see how uh, diving into this section can basically be like, what the fuck is this? Fuck you, I guess. But okay, let's move on. Let's continue. Without further ado, this is Trey Smagur, going to be reading pages 161 through 170. Again, thank both of you, Trey and Penny, for doing this and sharing your thoughts and everything. Uh, again, I am in no way trying to uh, silence Penny or delete her skepticism or anything and her opinions from this, and that is why I'm sharing it. Um, because it's still a peer analysis, which I asked for. It just, in my opinion, sadly, not in a constructive way. Um, but also, defeaters are constructive. So, yeah, in some way. Um, so let's continue.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trey. I am recording pages 161 through 170. Poster 23895381 says,
This is in response to someone saying the person who shared a music video and said "Future Funk, we're gonna make it, baby." This is someone else responding to that.
Big Wave makes the best future funk. Anonymous replies with a link that will be found below and says, I'm an acolyte.
So this is a response to it is in the funk. Okay. When someone asked where's the groove though, and I responded it is in the funk. This is someone responding to that.
That follows the dogma of the groove being in the heart and the funk in the hump. You cannot deny my truths.
And I get what you're saying. The groove can be in the heart, and the funk is in the hump. That feeling. Um, the funk can also be in other humps. Different types of feelings, different types of movements. But when you like look up funk, and the hump is apparently that that feeling when you're listening to funk music. And so, no, I am not denying your truths if you have these full beliefs. Um, but groove can also exist within other places, and the funk can also exist in other places. Uh, and so, your truths are expansive, not just isolated to these areas.
Another anonymous replying says,
And then this is me replying to the person who said, "Well, fuck transient states, you are one now," and gave me a Discordian certificate, making me an official Discordian.
exactly, as I and you also are and are not, or once were and will be, and slash or beyond. And then as you and I and we and the funk have at all previous input of existence up to this point, that it makes clearly more and more current sense to us, and we are continuously, interchangeably, and simultaneously having calculable and relatable effect to everything and influencing that data, round and round, loop after loop, until further progress is made or not and beyond, further resulting and expanding from these moments. Anonymous then replies,
This is me responding to the person who said, who left the future funk. We're gonna make it, baby.
more observable data and input over all the senses. I know of this song and video and can save it and share it forever until I or we can't, don't, or won't, and beyond. This is output communicating and influencing input and feeding the funk further. Groovy song, by the way, and wonderful description, future funk. Please describe everything I do to also be relatable to future funk, and also I enjoy your input to that degree of relation.
Now, at the time, I had not been exposed to future funk, which is the genre, and so hearing that music was pretty cool. And then also hearing the name genre of future funk was also pretty cool. But I also feel that very fitting to this information and my music as well. Now, it's not exactly like vaporwave future funk and everything, but it's future funk to a degree. Uh, and so it's relatable to future funk.
Anonymous then replies to the same user. Yes and no.
This is me responding to the person saying Big Wave makes it the best future funk.
But I enjoy that you are feeding the funk. Praise Big Wave and Future Funk and the rest of the past and future that led up to these moments of perceptive interpretation. Praise the funk.
When I say praise here, because I say it here and I say it a little bit later as well, when I say praise Ram Dass, uh, I don't mean like worship these people. I mean like praise you, for example, for being here in this moment, for just existing. Praise your favorite artist. Praise your favorite book. Uh, just be thankful that they're here and grateful. I don't mean like let's go to church and praise these things, or let's outside of church praise these things or worship them. That's I just wanted to clarify that that's not what I mean.
But again, directing in a constructive way. Don't go about it forcefully, shoving this information into another input of perception, being, and/or experience, but instead have patience and the further understanding of how to save yourself inside of that data and influence it of your worth to it and the proposal and understanding of it all. For the most constructive progress, we need to open up to the funk rather than dismiss it. And it is when we do that that more answers are found from the information of the haven'ts or impossibles and become closer to the possible or reality. Another anonymous replies.
This is me responding to the person who said I'm an alkalite that follows the dogma that grooves in the heart and funk is in the home.
You are making significantly or increasingly a similar argument to what I'm expressing, and so our answers are both true and not beyond. Fantastic work on your existence and influence, and our further work on approaching the observations and knowledge of the patterns that led us here. Then Patricia Thundercat Un says, good beyond. These were four heart emojis that were translatable as four heart emojis. Then Sean Penalber says, I see you continuously more and more understanding of how we are influencing each other and the study of influence and effect within and without the funk. Anonymous then replies,
I want to pause. Oh, interesting. So the those emojis that uh, disappeared off my Mac Microsoft Word, but now that I'm on Windows, they're back. They've appeared once again. Um, that's crazy how they just weren't working, and now it's being recognized. But what happens here is we've seen this before. We've seen this on other pages. This selection from Facebook, and why I put it in here was this is when it was happening at real time, and so I was in the forum on Facebook while also this was happening. I was in the forum on 4chan while also this was happening on Facebook. So I was doing both at the same time and sharing them as they happen in real time.
hey, if we're steering the future of the funk right here and right now, Then put some Sonic Youth in it, please. With a YouTube link below. Another anonymous then replies, is it deja vu when my sister said the exact same thing she did 23 times before? Another anonymous replies, I just feel tired. Another anonymous.
And that's a common theme of I just feel tired. A lot of people say that every day because we got to rest. But why that is special to me, and again, this is just a coincidental connection. Um, but when you listen to the first recording, when I was talking to Jackie, Paul, and Bree in the car, sharing my first concept to others and describing it, uh, that's what Paul said. When it's like, what do you feel now? And Paul said, I feel tired. Uh, because, yeah, not only is like life just exhausting, uh, but like any activity, especially like mental activity, mental strain, and this information, I guarantee it can make you tired in different ways. You can be tired in that it is, a lot to digest, or you can literally be tired of it. Like, I don't want to read this anymore. And so we're about to experience that spectrum as well with Trey and Penny.
reply, hell
This is me responding to, hey, if we're steering the future of the funk right here and right now, then put some Sonic Youth in it, please.
yeah, feed us. Everyone and everything else observe this influence. I request from this moment on that if I or you understand this or these further influences of the funk, that also relay a heart. When you are either finished with your statement of feeling within it, when you know, in parentheses, when closer understand this influence of the funk, and I will know that you are at that now closer level of information toward it. I and we predicted it to also be the interpretation of the heart to have significant influence, and that we are putting that into play now. So heart to everyone, to everything before this moment and after.
What I was attempting to do there is both see who was resonating with this information, and if you were resonating and understanding, then leave a heart. You know. Now no one did except me because I was resonating with this information definitely. Um, as cringe as some points it may be, and as unformed at some points as it may be, um, it also kind of became like a signature stamp uh, to where now that we're all anonymous and stuff, you could tell which ones were me and which ones were not me. So like different yaws and everything. Uh, in the TLDR, I remember reading ChatGPT has like an interesting view on that part, but I cannot remember what it says about it. But we'll get there. Uh, but additionally, what I was also trying to challenge, um, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I was also trying to challenge the idea of the dead internet theory. Like I know that most of these were probably people, uh, but like you don't know, you know. Uh, Again, let's put on our tinfoil hats. And so I was using the hearts to see who was resonating, what was resonating, and why. Um, but everyone just kind of remained anonymous. And at this point, I uh, the forum had been open, and people had been discussing it for like a day. About at this point, um, and so most people started not really interacting with it, and the rest is just me kind of typing more into it. And I know that that also seems like I'm just speaking into this void, uh, because you kind of are when you're writing a book. You're not writing to anyone at the moment. you're writing kind of to the future. And that's what I was kind of doing, was I was just finishing these thoughts in this forum and then sharing it into the treatise rather than just writing it in the treatise, which I was also doing at the time. But since it was an open forum, I might as well share these ideas there and see if anyone has anything to say. But it seems after this point, that's when kind of people, uh, I guess, stopped paying attention to it, which I can see how that is. Just this guy rambling on 4chan of incomplete thoughts and just trying to establish communication about this, you know, and the internet sometimes is not that place for that.
Another anonymous reply. Yes, it is an expansion of those moments and everything leading up to the event of significant data. I have never known you or your sister up to this point, but we have somehow accessed the archives of information on how to get there and are advancing with that knowledge through our experiences. Heart. Another anonymous reply. Trust me, that is a huge pattern with
Oh, this is me responding to I just feel tired.
the funk. A lot of it for us is exhausting, but we somehow currently find ways in and out of it. I'm suggesting check the pineal gland more and attempt to experience hypnagogia to further understand or prove all this to be incorrect or a mixture of, and thus attributing to the future solution and existence of everything. That and every other pattern slash patterns that you and I see and slash or will see and experience are and will be there eventually within the funk and without. Heart sign. Parentheses. Prepare to see a lot of these as I have already observed and experienced it to be so, and that is why I understand the synchronicity behind it that you are now extrapolating. End parentheses. Patricia Thundercat Un says, Sean Penalver, you are a gifted observationalist, and I am digging your metaphysical journey, or our journey. Guess I am getting the funk. Sean Penalver says, so far increasingly as 100% in our understanding of what out of 100% means. But yes, I see you're getting it. Welcome aboard. Heart sign.
Oh, shit, I just forgot what I was going to say. The one thing I was going to say two things, but one thing that I wanted to say was this is probably the most cringe part for me looking back, at least. Um, because again, it is me just like rambling these thoughts and ideas out uh, to an open forum. The second thing is uh, you can see how like people slightly interacted with it at some point, and some people understood, some people did, some people didn't. And throughout all these pages, you see how some people react to it and respond to it. I'm sure even you yourself have feelings of how you are responding and reacting to it. Um, and this part definitely I can see turning people away because it's like, what the hell is happening at this part? You're talking madness and stuff. But yeah, I kind of am. Uh, but I'm not going to just like delete that information from existence because that was who I was at this point. And I know that a lot of people, especially these days, do that type of pruning of like, because especially like we have this whole volume of our internet history of our lives throughout social media. Like, I want to say, like, I was probably 16 or so with like MySpace being a thing around that age. And so for at least 20 years or 19 years, social media has been a part of my life. And there's some people out there who have been on social media their entire lives. Like they have their entire childhood up to adulthood in photos and videos and everything. Uh, Someone that in the stand-up community recently made a post. Like they're they have a good amount of followers online. They've been posting videos since they were a kid, right? Um, and they made a post the other day that they went through those videos and they've taken most of them down and deleted most of them because he was like, I'm no longer this person. And that's kind of the feeling that I get with kind of this, that I'm no longer this person. I'm expanded from it. But I also want to showcase who that person was and what they were like, even if it makes me cringe and even if that hurts the integrity of you wanting to understand this information. Because again, we're going to see how Penny responded to that, and that kind of moves me in a way of like, ah, man, maybe I should, take this part out because you can see how someone truly just misunderstood it. Um, but again, I'm not here to erase history. I'm not here to revise it in my favor. I'm here to revise it in a favor of funk, of truth, of epistemology. Um, and I just don't think it would be truthful for me to paint it in my favor, um, because this is who I was at this time in 2019. Um, these ideas were just budding and forming and flowing out of me, and I had a lot of thought on it, and so I just had to get it out so that later I could go back to it and you know go from there. Uh, but the moving to the other part of like these hearts and this love, uh, it's a good lesson and a good life lesson. And how I interpret this part in this section is like you're not always going to experience like love like constantly. You will experience suffering at points. You will be tested at some points, in some ways. And so this was me getting humbled essentially, uh, because I was getting too deep and I was feeling the funk. Uh, Again, I don't believe that it was a manic episode, but I was getting very passionate at this point and wanting to talk about it, and I was having a lot of ideas that I wanted to talk about, uh, and some of them didn't really make sense. Um, again, it's kind of because it's an abstract art. I was attempting to discuss just like Camus and Kafka. I didn't have the words for this, and I just now am kind of learning that. But like they describe themselves more as artists than philosophers, and I think I relate to that as well. And so this was me as an artist sharing my thoughts. Uh, but again, I don't know. I just feel like sharing that information, and I also feel I've been put in this position of having to defend myself, especially when we get to later. But let's move on.
Anonymous replies, beep, boop, beep, boop. Or should I say, beep, boop, beep, boop. And then he says, or she says, or they say,
It's me.
asterisk, C minus A minus L minus C, U equals sign LA 3 TING, or as I would like to compute that, calculating parentheses, while also not seemingly able to or achieving the finished result, but now what you understand to be advancement or where you are at in time, in parentheses, Idaho.
So this is an example of just using kind of art and Dadaism and semiotics to just showcase something. And so, um, we'll finish the sentence, but like this equation doesn't make sense. Calculating, it's just another way that you can understand what it's saying without it actually being the word, right? It is slightly the word, but it's also put into this equation form. And so, again, it's just kind of trying to open your questioning thought on how you observe things and how you interpret them.
You can now again loop Idaho back to and from this point as you have since been able to and will eventually and also potentially won't. It's all parentheses fine end parentheses. How often do you observe that phrase? everything is fine, or some iteration and understanding of the phrase. The reason you can type, think, or say the phrase is because of the funk. And now we closer know that information that we are able to see and each other as quote unquote fine, or make the judgment to not because you can't believe it, but here it is. Here is your evidence. And there is a lot more out there besides mine own. Who or what is next? Heart sign. Same text continued. I click a box that says, quote, I'm not a robot, end quote. But really I am a machine of consciousness. What a current dilemma and calculably over time consuming process. And then I fill out a CAPTCHA that is either wrong or right, and it somehow also knows whatever I'm doing to be wrong or right. And then again, we have to further put that information into some storage or process at an observable loop in time. In all caps at the bottom of that post, loop. Another anonymous post. In response, I can now remember or access all points of this time and experience of this data, and how clear and understandable it suddenly became to me over time. Especially during the night of my meditation of parability, that's in quotes, parability. And the data behind that night can be found below and is forever closer to within the funk and expanding together. There's a Spotify playlist that will be listed below. I'm going to read the songs now that are in that. What Would I Want Sky by Animal Collective. Round and Round, Ariel Pink. Everyone's a Winner by Seagal. America by Simon and Garfunkel. Do It Again by Steely Dan. Lily by Toro y Moi. At Night in Dreams by White Denim. Leaf House by Animal Collective. Thank You Falatine Be Mice Elf Again by Sly and the Family Stone. Dirty Work by Steely Dan. That's the Way by Led Zeppelin. Kaleidoscope by Bad Bad Not Good. Only Shallow by My Bloody Valentine. Oh Sweet Nothing by the Velvet Underground. Paranoid Android by Radiohead. Uninvisible by Medeski, Martin, and the Wood. Sense by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Peaches in Regalia by Frank Zappa. If You Want Me to Stay by Sly and the Family Stone. Cut Your Hair by Pavement. Finger Bib by Aphex Twin. I Saw the Light by Todd Lundgren. Loboob Oscillator by Stereolab. Throughout the entirety of that experience, and still continuously leading up to these moments, now it becomes clearer and clearer, and more of the who, what, when, where, why, and how we are beyond. And the funk seemingly to you, and I proving to be more and more of a truth. And if you, or I, or the funk ever forgets this created information of experience and how to apply it towards itself, it is right here in these writings and in this loop, heart sign. Anonymous then replies to our original poster 23895911. My parents just arrived home at the same time that I was walking down the stairs, and after discussing these events and ideas with my father, I have never experienced that level of connection with him. Perhaps now that all of this is beginning to make more sense and is more easily accessible and able to be referenced and expanded upon together, observably, to my understanding, everything I stated to him was received, and also from him relayed back to me as a result of the funk. My parents and my, in quotations, father/mother, end parentheses, end quotations, parentheses, the funk, birthed me and raised me, and now I am attempting to flip the sides of providing future learning and information, and we are on an arguably much clearer level since my last post. How wonderful. I think so too.
Thank you. Um, Now on this one again, uh, of all the moments of just walking downstairs and then someone of random time is coming down again, just a moment of synchronicity. But I do remember like during this and experiencing these and having this talk on the forum and everything. Uh, I'm usually a pretty like I guess I'm what's described as an ambivert. Like I can be very social, um, but I can also be very introverted. Um, and there's times when I really enjoy socializing, and there's times that I really enjoy, I guess, being in my head, or just enjoying reality without having to be uh, on for another person. I guess that's not a great description of, but that kind of is what I mean. But I remember like really feeling connected with people uh, during this time because it was after the Parability playlist and everything in the meditation, and it was when I was 12, 08, 19, when I was having this forum, both on 4chan and on Facebook. Um, and even though uh, on Facebook, a couple people were like, Sean, are you okay? You know, yes, I believe I was okay. Um, and then on here, you have some people being like, get the schizo out of here and stuff. Because again, it may appear like that. Um, and again, as I've talked about in the earlier episodes and stuff, whether or not I was having a manic episode, or I am, if I was schizophrenic or I am schizophrenic, which again, I don't believe that I am these things. I've never been diagnosed as these things, and um, the closest that I could say is like I am ADHD, and maybe I do have some neurodivergent tendencies on things, which I think that kind of leads into the ambivert and also attempting to discuss these things and my interest in these things. But also, anyone could be interested by these things. It doesn't. You don't have to be put in this certain corner to have to understand it. You don't need to be in any state to really give it time. Um, and so, no, just like I say earlier in the treatise, whether I am under the influence or whether I'm in any state of mind or being, attempt to hear what I'm saying, attempt to engage discourse beyond that, rather than just being like, oh, well, uh, you're just some guy on drugs. All right, I don't need to listen to this anymore. And especially at this point when it starts to get to information where like it's me just in a way rambling, and you and I feel some cringe on this part uh, because again it was just a different me, and I wish that I had more knowledge and was able to say it and express it in a better way. Um, but that doesn't dismiss the message behind it and what it has become. But some people will do that, and that's just the way it's going to be. Um, so I don't know, just felt like sharing like that.
Anonymous then replies, and by flip the sides, I meant have accessed the funk and its loops. Then there's bold text below, additionally alluding to the transition of the child becoming the caregiver/future parent in the circle of life. It is not the idea of the paranormal, a form of observation, experience, and relation to and of an abstract idea. I am asking you now to influence and investigate into our futures the idea that it is either or is not. Again, let me know in whatever way you are able, and we will expand from that further input, no matter what it is.
Now, again, I don't find all of this cringe, right? Sorry that I keep just elaborating on this part. I just feel the need to have to defend myself for some reason. Um, but again, why? What the cringe is not. Uh, it's not like this cringe, like, oh, why am I saying this? It's just like, again, I wish that I had been able to say it in better words. Um, and that's what makes me cringe. It's just like, I just didn't know yet. I didn't know, but I wanted to know so bad. Um, and I don't know if that is cringe or not. So maybe the word I'm using is even incorrect. But um, it was definitely a paranormal experience.
Another reply from Anonymous. I am experiencing suspicion as to why I'm being asked this.
That's in response to the original post of what are you experiencing right now or listening to?
A new reply from another Anonymous.
This is me.
Beginning from the time after these learning points, I ask you to attempt to continue to prove to me or someone or something both wrong and right about the funk, and that our existence is birthed from a line of abstract ideas and events, and together we can now more and more easily prove or disprove these/those ideas to each other. And so far, it calculably leads to productive, negative, constructive, and deconstructive every time. And now it is our turn to find the next step together. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but now within the hyperreality. Influence X, parentheses, times, end parentheses, random number generation, X, calculation, X, relation, X, time, X, effect of, X, you, X, me, X, the funk, and so on, and so understandably incorrect and correct until the opposite or further data is observed. Again, I believe that point is now because it is so far very clearly so, and able to recall and multiply and divide and add and subtract together to provide the present and future. Us, period. We, period. The font. Heart sign.
And so again, this is just me uh, saying a bunch of the stuff that we've already really talked about in the treatise, but this was one of the first times a lot of this was being said, and then I just expand on it later in the treatise when I was talking about it in most of the intro and everything.
Another reply to Anonymous. As will every other thing after this moment, and then again before this point, until able to more clearly learn how to explain the beliefs and answers or equations of entirety of the funk.
This is me responding to the person that is experiencing suspicion as to why I was asking them to share their experience of this moment.
I was raised a Methodist, and starting around after high school, and even more so during the beginning of my collegiate education, I began to really question the idea behind quote unquote God and the patterns and data similar or relatable to the funk. When I began questioning and advancing my way both with and without those points, I began to start to feel like I was going to the bad place or something hellish, or much like in the show The Good Place, with the view of the good place as heavenly experience, event, location, etc. But on that show, is there not also a middle place? And even beyond that, because you and I can witness that event together, and there are also more events forever branching from extraction and the ideas from the abstract, much like the funk. And we can now further link these ideas to events. Again, I did it. We did it. It is done, and it is also doing. Another arguably agreeable observable event we have experienced as the phone. There is a Wikipedia link that you will find below to the good place.
And that's something that, like, I think about sometimes. Being raised Methodist and being raised a Christian and everything, when I started to like question it all and everything, I felt like, oh no, I shouldn't be questioning this. I gotta have, uh, undoubtable faith. I just had to have pure faith that these things were right. This was the right path. And I don't know, like, if that is good or bad to like make someone experience that based on like a faith that we are unsure of. Because I get the point of it, but I also see how it could be used as a trick to be like, you just have to have faith, because anyone could use that in an argument of like, you just got to trust me. And a lot of things that are usually like that are usually taking advantage of people. And so I definitely started questioning it at those times, and I continued questioning it, and now it has kind of led me back to where my faith is even stronger because of this information. And so I went on my own journey. I did my own questioning of the faith, and by doing that, I have a stronger faith in this information of what I believe God to be, what I believe funk to be, and everything. And that's very different than what I believed God was at the growing up and being taught what God is and everything. Uh, but also there was something else I was going to say. Um, it's kind of just a tangent, but like, now that we're this far, we're on page 161 to 170, and so that's like 16 or 17 people at least who have read these pages. You just see how different it is for everyone when they're reading it, because reading out loud changes things than reading it internally, but also the inflection that people have. Uh, Sometimes they miss words, sometimes they read them backwards and everything, and that kind of changes the entire experience. And so one thing that I do think about is like, now that I have all these recordings of people reading the treatises, my initial intention was to go in and do what I'm doing here with the recordings, but fill in the parts that like were like kind of mistake to where it's like read exactly. But if I was just going to do that, why not I just read the whole treatise myself? I wanted to showcase how this information is different and how we each interpret it. Uh, and I don't know. I just think there's support to that. But back to like, is there a good place or a bad place? Is there a heaven or the hell? Um, we don't know. These are just ideas. I think that they could also just, again, in the Jungian sense, uh, the duality of suffering versus non-suffering. Pleasure. Um, and so there's this desire for like eternal pleasure, or a what I have always viewed heaven, especially even when I was younger in like church. I always viewed it as this place that like there would be no happy or sad. That you wouldn't really have emotion. Everything would just be taken care of. It would just be this eternal being, this bliss kind of like. But like, even you wouldn't know bliss because like there'd be nothing to contest to it. You know, uh, because you wouldn't need anything. You wouldn't need food. Because I remember just having discussions with people like, oh, heaven is like a place where you get everything you've ever wanted. Like you can do whatever you want and all these things, but like heaven would be a desireless place. Like you wouldn't, if it was so heavenly, you wouldn't even want that. You wouldn't even need uh love or whatever. You wouldn't need $1 million. Like you wouldn't need uh a jet ski and a yacht, right? Like, yes, that's a heavenly experience on earth, but heaven would be beyond that. And hell, is kind of the opposite. Like, but instead of this non-experience of everything being so good that you're just taken care of that you don't even worry about anything, now you're in this eternal punishment where everything just sucks and is terrible. Uh, but we experience both sides of those here on Earth, and so maybe heaven and hell are here in life, and we just need to transcend beyond that. But again, I don't know. Maybe we do go to heaven. Maybe we do go to hell. Maybe we go somewhere completely different. Maybe a middle place. Maybe this is the middle place. I don't know. And so if we continue to think about it and talk about it and relate to it, maybe we do figure out those answers. Maybe eventually we are able to branch that gap through funk uh, and are able to talk to a different conscious level that understands those areas of life or something. You know, we don't know. We're not there yet.
Somewhat of an arguably enjoyable expansion of past and future and ideas around it. Huh? It has, quote unquote, led you, and I here. And that is so significantly incredible that I implore you to continue to have suspicion and use that feeling of suspicion to closer understanding what I'm relating to you about the funk. Because it is at an incalculable and graphical and pardon me, because it is a calculable and graphical observation and studied events of plotted points of reference across time, space, and all the funk. Another response to Anonymous. 29
This is someone responding to the original post.
years isn't a lot, but keep going, baby.
And I
Another
am.
response by Anonymous.
This is also someone responding to the original post.
You calculated the meaning of your life and no one else's. Everyone is here for their own unique purpose.
And I agree. I agree with that. And again, just as I said, the things that I said at this time were just put there by a different you of me, and that information has evolved. And so, while I said like I've calculated the meaning of life, I think is the initial quote. I haven't. I have observed a meaning, a potential meaning of life and existence, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. And so, thank you for calling me out, person, and keeping me home in check.
Another response by a different Anonymous.
This is in response to someone calling LP as a raging homosexual.
Indubitably. A response by Anonymous. It's not.
Oh, this is me responding to the person who said 29 years isn't a lot, but keep going.
But I also have access to the 62 years of my father's experience and my mother's, and you and your creators, and everything on the internet or in libraries. And that time and information adds up and is everything to be calculated, just as you and I and everyone and everything else is doing at these points with minimal effort. Consider the fact that of this reply that I am responding to. Response to the response that says, you calculated the meaning of your life and no one else's. Everyone is here for their own unique purpose.
No, this is in
The
response to.
existence of this.
This is still in response to 29 years isn't a lot, but keep going. I'll respond to the other one later.
Is the comment that has influenced and affected my thought, performance, and being on a metaphysical and mental level, as well as it has yours and will others, and it didn't have a heart within it. So I know it is not me who said it, but an individual form of parentheses or quotations, us, end quotation. And it is understanding what I am saying. And so it, in a way, is closer connected to the funk forever. I'm going to read some signs now. Some nomicals that I, perhaps because I'm not quite fully inundated with the funk, don't understand, but
It's just
I'm
random.
just going to read them as
Just a
they
random
read.
thing.
Open parentheses, less than, pound sign, and sign, less than 3, end parentheses, x, open parentheses, less than, pound sign, and sign, less than 3, end parentheses, plus, open parentheses, less than, pound sign, and sign, less than 3, end parentheses, minus, open parentheses, less than, pound sign, and sign, less than 3, end parentheses, and, open parentheses, less than, pound sign, and sign, less than 3, end parentheses, equals, backslash, does not equal, the func times beyond, does not equal, equal. At some point, you'll be able to open quotation, Google, end quotation, that equation, and its eventual influence and expansion of and relation to it. And this is bracketed and in bold, which you can do now as linked earlier. Heart sign.
And you can, if you want to. Again, that equation is kind of nonsensical. It is just something to, again, challenge abstract thought. But basically, what it is kind of like the less than 3 kind of thing, but also less than shift 3 is the numerical sign, right? And so I kind of meant like this semiotic of the heart versus an abstract inverse of that, times that plus that minus that and that equals and does not equal the func times beyond and everything. Because it doesn't, it doesn't. Again, it's a just not everything has to make sense to help us make sense of things. But let's keep going, baby.
Anonymous replying. Exactly. Every experience.
Oh, this is when I respond to the you calculated the meaning of your life, which no, uh, I have not entirely calculated it, but I am observing and sharing a potential meaning of.
An interpretation of reality is unique, and we must listen and learn from each other of our experiences and knowledge of existence. Your existence and influence upon me, and everything has further proven my point, and you are now connected within and across the funk, in parentheses. The funk provides less than 3. Again, by an advancement of the combination of related
This is in response to both Indubitably and OP is a raging homosexual.
abstract differences. Within the perception of reality, your and my theory, the funk are able to be both different yet simultaneous, and further proving and expanding our theories together. So you are in theory provably these things, as we are knowingly well researched on each and all areas. We have reached across the funk, in parentheses. You are also a person of rage, as your 2 other examples have said before me, and any variable before and now after that. In quotations, raging loop. In quotations, raging funk. Heart sign or less than 3. The next anonymous reply. Heart sign or less than 3 is equal to love. And I do love you because we're all the same. Good job.
That was someone responding to the post that starts with "It's not," but I also have access to my mom, my dad. I have access to your information, everyone's information, and we can all form that together.
And my final anonymous reply.
And this is just me responding to writing more.
In this previous recorded data, I have now written and collected in a mistake of communication between the funk, while still being information that is incorrect and correct. In the previous post, I was unable to save the information. I was currently posting and edited it completely before it was and is now recorded to be for I by abstract accident, and now somehow proof of purpose by random number generation pasted previous work by control plus V or paste, or some other variation of savable and adjustable event. I did not, and at that time had it saved, and therefore that exact profound proof was lost to the past, but has and is still providing for the font, even though it has been erased, in quotations. It existed, and out of action and reaction, cause and effect, I am typing this now. If I hadn't lost it, we'd be in a different timeline of different events, in the immense amount of time spread out across existence. It all has and hasn't happened, and everything connected to it and expanding from it.
And that is pages 161 to 170. Let's hear what Trey has to say about that. I need to go blow my nose. My nose is killing me.
So this is very interesting. There's a lot of interesting things going on. I just like to share a little bit of my experience and ideas with what's going on. I think that one of the main things that's fascinating is the speaker who talks about that the funk is different for everyone, because we all have the funk in our lives. It's the flow. It's it is the life that we're living. It is the water that we're swimming in.
Mm-hmm.
And someone says that your funk might not be the same as mine.
Correct.
I think that this is
And incorrect.
interesting and also super important, because you're going to have to deal with other people's funk all the time. You're going to have to understand that people, as we can see in this reading, people have different ideas of what life is and how life should be lived and how you should go about what you're doing.
Correct.
And so it's best if you can dig into your own funk enough to where you're not kind of upended by other people's funk, you know? And hopefully and I do believe that there is some funk that we can all kind of get along the same way. It is the funk. It's the moving of the whole world together. But it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of understanding for you to be able to respect other people in that way, to where you can, you have to be comfortable in your own funk first. You have to be you have to be so groovy in your own funk first. You have to be so mellow and chill in your own funk first. And I like to think about this quote, the sea refuses no river, right? If your funk is going straight along and you've kind of figured it out, then you can kind of pick other people's up as well. You don't have to change yours. Because you've kind of figured out already where you're going, what you're doing, how you are. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, is when you already know what's going on with you, then you get to just enjoy watching other people.
And so I guess that is still building. And so to extend on the analogy and the metaphor, if I am a river flowing into the ocean, there are going to be curves and turns as the water finds the best way, and as it carves out and erodes different paths and does everything, it's going to be changing and updating and upgrading until it becomes the ocean, and then even that is still in constant flux. Uh, and I semi agree and disagree with that. You have to be chill about all this because not everyone and everything is chill. The universe isn't always chill. Um, You could be any state and still share this information. I see how it could be very helpful if you are seen as chill or are chill, right? Um, because that would help it resonate with some to a degree. But that.
All right. Trey Smagur, signing off.
Oh, well, that's it. Well, Trey, thank you again for doing your reading. Before I get into pennies, I am going to go blow my nose because this congestion is messing me up. Okay, and now, just as we talked about and Trey had said earlier, we each experience our own different funk in different ways. Let us see how Penny Tarnopolski experiences these 10 pages of funk.
Okay, we're doing the thing. I am Penny Tarney. I will be reading pages 161 through 170. Cool. Jumping in. Got it here. Jumping to 161. I did skim this a little bit, and I did check with Sean. This is kind of just starting in the middle of an argument about music. I'm glad I've had a couple days to get less angry. I just hate when people talk about music in general. It's just pretentious. Just go listen to music. It's already the thing out loud. Just like talking about music is so boring to me.
So then there maybe might be the first misunderstanding. This is I had asked people to share music so that we could have something to listen to while we discussed funk. Maybe she's misunderstanding funk as music. But even then, like, to discussion to, I don't know. To find it all that pretentious is an opinion.
Big Wave makes the best future funk. Who fucking cares? Anonymous. You're not even gonna stand behind these comments. I'm just already annoyed. You mentioned that. I'm an acolyte that follows the dogma of groove. God, this guy is just being an asshole to be an asshole. It almost sounds like satire, you know? Like, is this like you couldn't write a dick bigger than this on purpose? So this is not what that is. This what this guy is trying to do? I think you cannot deny my truth. Okay. Exactly. Another anonymous person. Like, who is even talking here? Like, how am I supposed to keep these people? It's just, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Every single one of these is like green anonymous. Is this the same person? Just talking to themselves about funk music? Touch grass. Please. If this is you, go outside. I know it was 2019. You had no idea the COVID pandemic was happening. About to happen.
Nope.
But Jesus Christ. Exactly.
But again, like, there's the example of, like, the misunderstanding. This is multiple people talking in an open forum. And also I tried to, as you can see, like, right here, if you look at the treatise, I tried to make it, like, kind of obvious that whatever was in maroon text is me, and whatever is in black text is just other random people. Maybe Penny's never been on 4chan to see the formatting and everything. But as you can see how upset she already is about this information, and how she's just judging it so negatively. Penny, if you ever do rewatch this stuff and follow further into it and stuff, I'd love to hear your, like, thoughts on, like, what you were going through, what you were experiencing, but, like, if you, like, re-summarize this information, like, does that change how you feel about it or not? I'd love to hear more. Because, again, I appreciate the skeptic view kind of to a degree higher than someone who's just going to be like, oh, yep, that was good. You know, I agree with this. Yep, that was great. I agree with this. Because, thank you, I appreciate that I can see how it relates and understands. But when it is pure disagreement defeats knowledge. And so this showcases that this section and the way I've written these things and stuff, or the way it's presented, isn't translating very well, especially in this scenario to Penny. And so that just means that I have more work to do. But it also doesn't, because to some, like Trey, we just saw read it and interpreted it in the way that he interpreted it. And so again, it's this cohesive, like, I could share this in an information that could be like completely like unmisunderstandable, but then someone would probably still misunderstand it. That's just kind of how humans are. But I promise that I will continue to try to make this more understandable, more translatable.
And you are also are and are not, or once were, or will and are beyond. As you and I and we in the funk have all previous input existed up to this point, it makes clearly more and more current sense to us. And we are continuously, interchangeably, and simultaneously having calculable, relatable effect to everything influencing that data. Is this like a bad translation? That's what it sounds like. This is like somebody wrote this in India and then translated it to English, back to Arabic, and then back to Hindi, and then back to English, because this is so bad.
Well, again, it's me translating information that I don't fully understand yet. Like, what's an example? Like, you don't sit there, I mean, you can, and there are people I'm sure that do, but like, when someone is learning art or any skill, right? Like, let's say you're learning plumbing, right? No, that's not a great example. Let's say you're learning like calculus or geometry. You don't just start right into calculus. When you look at calculus and you don't know anything about math, it's not going to make any sense to you, right? And then now you're learning math, and the math that you have is like 1 + 1 = 2 and stuff, or like 6 × 7, and you're still going to get those wrong because you're learning. You still have an idea of math, but you're not there yet, you know? And so this was me with a basic understanding kind of of these thoughts that were forming, trying to share those thoughts and learn more about it. Because in this way, like math, you can go get a teacher. A teacher can like, or tutor can tell you math. They can teach you math, and they can tell you how to reach these problems and solve these problems and stuff. But to my current knowledge, the only way to further this information is through discussion and through reading and through study and experience and stuff. And so I was attempting to do that while still not being fully formed. But if I had never done that, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't be in the now 7th edition of this information, where again, this was the 5th edition, and what you're reading is from the very 1st edition. And so let's continue.
Round, loop after loop. And then it'd be funny and be like, I translated it 7 times, but it was like originally like a Ben Folds song or something. Like I actually know this song. Until further progress is made, or not and beyond, further resulting expanding from these moments. No one's expanding from this. This is a dick suck. Anonymous then says, 4 minutes later.
Maybe it's a dick suck.
Let me look up the date. Like, what was going on December 8th of 2019 that people were just like sucking their own dicks that day? You could have been watching Miss Universe instead of you were sucking your own dick. I'm just saying. More observable data and input over all the senses. I now know of this song and video and can save it and share it forever until I or we can't or don't or want or want. Oh! Jesus Christ, you're a dick. This is output communicating and influencing input and feeding the funk further. Groovy song, by the way. Okay, great. Now they're finally getting to some goddamn point. And wonderful description. Please, why don't you just say all that? Anonymous. Who the fuck is reading all this? Just say this.
You
Please
are.
describe everything I do and also be relatable to future funk, and I enjoy your input in that degree of relation. The guy continues to suck his dick 7 minutes later and says, yes and no, but I enjoy that you are feeding the funk. Praise Big Wave and Future Funk and the rest of the past and future that led up to these moments of perceptive interpretation. Praise the funk. Oh, is this like a cult? Is that why I'm so angry? Is this like literally a cult talking to himself? A cult leader talking to himself? And again,
No, and I don't wish this information to ever be used as a cult. Though I can see some people could use that and form it into a cult, and I'm sure that there are cults that have similar descriptions and stuff. But no, this is built on purability and love and openness, and thoughtful discussion rather than just dismissing it all as a dick suck. Which, I mean, even if it was like,
And
I don't know.
directing in a constructive way. No, you're not. Don't go about forcibly shoving this information into another input of perception and being and/or experience. But instead, have patience. Good advice, I need it. And the further understanding of how to save yourself instead of that data influence it of your worth to it and proposal and understanding of it all. For most constructive progress, we need to open up the funk rather than dismiss it. And see, this is what I really hate when people like just don't make a point. You just gotta start with the I and just say like, hey, like the one part that actually made a point, I like the song. What is all this other bullshit? Every sentence that doesn't start with like a fucking noun.
So if you stuck, like, you know, breaking things down and stuff, the point is attempting to be made. It's this whole thing. I don't know. It seems that you're distracted by your annoyance. I don't know. Really, I'm not upset by I'm not upset by like this response and reaction. The biggest feeling that I feel is like kind of just like a little bit of disappointment. Like this is how some people treat each other, and that kind of sucks. Like I would never treat someone the way that Penny is just like kind of treating this information. But that's me. And I'm not dismissing Penny's experience. This is what she is experiencing. You're witnessing live. But I just wish that it hadn't been misinterpreted. And so again, Penny, if you ever like rewatch this or re-listen to it or dive in a little bit deeper, I'd still love to hear your thoughts. But hopefully with a little bit more patience.
Piece of like, what is this? What is this? Like, how fucking drunk and stoned were these people when they're with us? You are making a significantly, increasingly similar... Who is? You're talking to your goddamn self, Anonymous. I'm expressing, and so our answers are both truth. This guy was drunk texting for sure. Fantastic work on your existence. Go outside. It was 4 p.m. Miss Universe was about to be on.
Yeah, but it was also a Sunday, you know? And I had just had a show that previous night. I go outside. I live. I do life.
Okay, let me go back to like, I feel like I'm not doing this right. You're not required, you do not have to jump pages. Dissect them. There's nothing even being said here. How do you dissect something that's just like literally like lorem ipsum text to me? Oh, hey, Sean, you finally see something.
And so, like, again, like, I just have trouble seeing that one person can understand it, and then another person just has this type of response to it. And so, how do I work to bridge that gap? And is there? Because again, no matter what, it can be the best, most well-said thing, and someone would still misunderstand it. And that's just kind of the dilemma where we're at this time. I don't have a solution, you know, but y'all are just live witnessing a very strong response to this.
I see you continuously more and more understanding of how we are influencing each other. Are you talking to this guy? Do you know this guy? Is that why I'm doing this? All right, the guy goes beyond. Okay, so Anonymous is back to go suck his dick some more. Hey, if we're steering the future of the funk right here and now, then put some Sonic Youth in it, please. This guy's drunk texting off his ass. Wow. Is it deja vu and my sister said the same exact thing 23 minutes ago? What the hell is this, Sean? I don't. Where? I just feel tired. Well, me and you both, Anonymous. Why don't you keep talking to yourself just like I am? Hell yeah, feed us. Everyone and everything else observe this influence. I request from this moment on that if I or you understand this or these, see, this is bad translation, right? This is like bad translating. Further influences of the funk to also relay a heart when you are either finished with your statement or feeling within it, when you know and closer understand this feeling of the funk, and I will know that you are. This is like a deluded man. This is like when like people are like on the street. This is like actually making me really sad for this person. And like reading out loud is like really just making me sad for this person. The fact that they had access to a phone. What's the weather like on this day? I'm gonna assume they're from here.
It was a good day.
Let's see. The weather on July 19th. God damn it. See, you Google something, it just takes it somewhere else.
December 19th. December 8th, 2019.
It was 72 degrees that day.
It's a good day.
There's literally no excuse for any of this. We predicted it also be the interpretation of the less than 3 to have significant influence, and we were putting that into play now. So less than 3 to everything, before this and moment and after. Yes, it is. Who are you talking to, bro? Yes, it is an expansion of those moments and everything leading up to this event of significant data. I have never known you or your sister up to this point, but we have somehow... Okay, now the sister coming in. This is a great character building. We have had somehow access to the archives of information on how to get there and are advancing with that knowledge through our experiences. Less than 3. Trust me, this is a huge pattern within the funk. A lot of it for us is exhausting. Oh, for you. And we somehow currently find ways in and out of it. I'm suggesting check the pineal gland. Should your sister check that? More and more to attempt the hypocoaching to further understand. This guy is like sucking his dick so hard that his head exploded. Wow, thus contributing to the future solution and existence of everything. That and every other pattern that you and I exist. This is the most annoying thing I think I've ever read.
I still paid her $50 for this.
Lesson 3, prepared to see a lot of these as I have already observed and experienced to be. Bro, you told me this would be philosophy. This is just like some guy like having a mental breakdown and just like typing like this on his fucking laptop. This is really sad. This guy's having a... If this person was under 18, I would call his mom. Like, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad.
Maybe it is.
You were a gifted observationalist. Is no one observing that this man like needs to go to the hospital for like a brain injury? Beep boop. Yeah, like this is the level that this guy is on. Beep boop, beep boop. What do I analyze here? This man is out of his mind. Get him off the drugs. I'm gonna get some water. This is pissing me off as you can tell.
Seems like it.
And I would say the reason it's making me mad is it's just like nonsense and self-grandizing. I think I have, if I analyze that myself, the reason it's so triggering to me is that I have history with people who performative, self-aggrandizing, this kind of bullshit, talking about the thing that they don't actually do. They spend all their time talking about it. This is why I find people who talk about music annoying. Just go play music. Like, what do you... Don't talk about it, be about it, right?
Sure.
While also not seemingly able to or achieving the finished result, but not what you understand to be advancement or where you are at in time. Idaho. This is like this is like my 9-year-old nephew's sense of humor. You can now again loop Idaho back to and from this point as you have since been able to and will eventually and also potentially won't. It's all fine. How often do you observe that phrase? Everything is fine, or some innovation and understanding of the phrase. The reason you type, think, or say the phrase is because of the funk. What the hell are you talking about? And now we closer know that information, that we are able to see each other as fine or make the judgment to not because you can't believe it, but here it is, here's the evidence. And there's a lot more out there because my own, or what is else is next, which is probably more bullshit, more dribble out of your asshole, out of your mouth. I click a button.
So it's like, as we had Robert mention in his discussion on like how reading a text can change it, you know, like depending on how you're reading it syllabically or in what mood you're reading this thing. what it seems to me is that Penny isn't even reading this. She's reading the words, but I think based on what she said just a second ago, that like she's dealt with people who have been all talk and no action. That kind of sucks. That like now that she's experienced these things, that she's just basically like blocking out other stuff that might even appear close to it. But I don't know. I can't speak for Penny.
Box that says, I'm not a robot, but really I am a machine of consciousness. What a current dilemma incalculably over a time-consuming process. Then I fill out a CAPTCHA that is either wrong or right, and if someone also knows whether I'm doing it to be wrong. All right, and then again we have to further put that information to some sort of storage or process observable loop at time. I get why you have to pay people to read this. Okay, so after, so it's been, okay, now I'm at 5 o'clock. I'm on page 165. I started at 161. It's 5 o'clock now, right? So if we start at the beginning, Big Weight Mesa Feature Funk. Okay, it was 3:44 on a beautiful December day, assuming these people are in Houston. Beautiful day, 71 degrees. For an hour and a half, Miss America was about to, or Miss Universe was about to be on, and y'all are doing this, like, it's really sad. I don't know.
I'd rather suck my own dick than watch Miss America.
Click a box on I'm not a robot. Yeah, everybody does that. It's called having the internet. Am I supposed to be impressed? All right, 5 o'clock, and this person's madness, this obviously manic. That's why I think maybe that's also why it's triggering. I know a lot of my grandma had bipolar, and this is literally somebody's like manic, rambling, and I just feel really bad. Right? They're just talking to themselves and
Another accusation.
not getting any points across and making lists like this. This is. I can now remember or access all points of time and experience of this data and how clear and understandable it suddenly became to me over time, especially during the time of night of my meditation. Parability and the data behind that night can be found below and is further closer within the funk and expanding together. All right, I like Simon and Garfunkel. This would be when we read these out loud, but I can't. What would I want a sky? Animal Collective. I like their Golden Girl song. Round and round, Ariel Pink, Everyone's a Winner, Ty Siegel, America, Simon and Garfunkel, Do It Again, Steely Dan, Lily, Toro et Moi, Nights and Dreams, White Denim, Leaf House, Animal Collective, thank you. It's like I feel like I'm talking down to people when I read to them, things they can see on the screen. Dirty Work, Steely Dan, That's the Way, Led Zeppelin, Kaleidoscope, Bad, Bad, Not Good, Only Shallow, My Bloody Valentine, Oh Sweet Nothing, The Velvet Underground, Paranoid Android, Radiohead. I'll just see if there's any women on here. Is this a woman? Nope, of course it's not. This is like incel bullshit. I don't see any women on here, and I knew there wouldn't be, right? No women, of course not.
In my defense on that, this playlist is like 11,000 tracks long. That's not my fault that Spotify didn't put, well, the last band is a female-led band. But I listen to a lot of music that also has women in it. But also, like, I don't know, what a thing to say.
La Boob Oscillator. Perfect end after I just said that. There were no women on the list. They would have some.
It just seems like you want to be angry. And I apologize that this information inspired that.
Like that. Throughout the entirety of that experience and still continue. By the way, this is why it's making me sad. See, these are the kinds of like, just like incel to online people. Oh, geez. Throughout the entirety of that experience and still continuously leading up to these moments now, it becomes clearer and clearer and more.
So again, on there, another ad hominem calling me an incel at this point. And so again, whether I am or not, like, if it were me in the shoes of, like, I would still hear someone out and what they had to say, even if I like didn't really agree or listen. Like, I'm not just gonna isolate this person and be like, nah, you know what? I don't care what you have to say. You fuck off. Like, and that's just kind of how this seems. Like, of just like, I'm not gonna even attempt to understand what you're saying because I have feelings that I've already assumed. And I'm just curious about those assumed feelings. I'm like, what made you really so pissed off about all this, like, and why that kept continuing? Like, I don't know, I'm just very curious about that, because, like, again, she's related that, like, she's dealt with people who are like this, you know, and everything, and maybe it does appear like that, but that's now up to me to, with time and accountability, like, prove that I am or amn't these things, right? But when you, like, sit there and you call someone, like, crazy or an incel or, like, any other, like, attack, what that puts me, or that puts other people in this, like, position of, like, how do I now defend that without looking like an asshole as well? And it's just time and accountability, like, because there are going to be some people who now watch Penny's reading and probably agree with everything she's saying, right? And so, like, that just digs this deeper hole of people experiencing that level of a different funk. But that's it. Funk is subjective, you know. People are going to experience it this way and everything. But I see that as a challenge to continue to try to connect with these people. As much as it might suck, as much as it might besmirch my name. I think that's the right word, besmirch. I haven't used that word in quite a while. Yeah, damage the reputation of something. Yeah. And so that's kind of what it seems like, that I'm being besmirched and that I have to now defend myself. And so that's what I'm attempting to do. Now I'm not going to attack back because I don't believe in that. But again, I am, at this point, super aware of just like this.
More of the who, what, when, where. This person thinks he's smart. So I was like, okay, this sounds like my, like, 11-year-old nephew.
I don't think I'm smart. Again, I have said it many times. I think my wisdom exceeds my intelligence. Like, if it had to be like a stat roll. But no, again, this information will seem like that because, again, I did not know what I was talking about. I was just trying to express ideas that I was formulating so that they could become clearer later.
Who just, like, got on, like, AI and wrote something and thinks, like, being random is a sense of humor and a personality. Do you know what I mean? Loop, lesson 3. Okay, so now we're almost at our third hour of this. We started at 3:45 and now we're at 5:26 in the afternoon. This anonymous person is just on his way. Okay, so let me actually count them because I'm curious how long this person's been talking to themselves.
It's even longer than she says.
Start back at 161. Right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
And again, I see how it appears that I'm sitting there talking to myself, and just like I said in Trey's video, it was at this point where, like, when you're reading a book or anything, they're sitting there talking to themselves, talking to the future for whoever's reading it, and it's just that, except now it's in a forum form. And so, yeah, it does look like I'm talking to myself and talking to no one that's listening, because I just felt that sharing this information in the forum would be appropriate in case anyone wanted to continue reading and continue responding to it and everything. Just have it all in a convenient place that I could then put in my treatise. And so, yeah, I might be talking to myself here to a degree, but I'm still talking to the future. I was still talking to whoever wanted to read it. Now we're this moment. I was talking to this moment in a way.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18,
and it keeps going,
19,
baby.
20, 21, 22, 20.
You might as well, like, count the entire treatise, 302 pages of me just talking to myself.
Yeah, 23, 24,
Sucking my own
25, 26, 27. So you've asked me to read, like, the mad ramblings. Well, okay, I kind of want extra page. So let's say 24 mad ramblings of, like, a manic episode, and it's just making me sad. Where'd that list of songs go? I think that's where it was. Woo Boss Leader.
It's a good song.
My parents just arrived
I don't
home
know
at
what
the
it
same
translates
time
to.
as walking down the stairs. Finally, a coherent sentence. I understand what that sentence means. And after discussing these events and ideas with my father, I have never experienced that level of connection with him. Okay, I don't know what y'all talked about. I don't know what this has to do with anything. Perhaps now that all of this beginning to make more sense and is more easily accessibly and able to be referenced and expanded upon together. It feels like that was like the beginning of a sentence. Perhaps now that all of this is beginning to. Okay, well, I felt like I was about to discover something and they just let me off. Observably, to my understanding, everything.
Hold on, I'm going to pause because I'm looking up Le Boub Oscillator because it's in French. I was talking about the moon. It's not even talking about boobs. No, it's a beautiful poem. I like this song. It's a good song.
I stated to him was received and also from him relayed back to me as a result of the funk.
It's just, okay, I think a great word here is projection. It just seems to be projecting a lot of your own opinions and ideas and frustrations onto this reading, rather than translating it in its actual tone.
Alright, now you lost me again. My parents and my mother, father / the funk birthed me and raised me, and now I am attempting to flip the sides of biting. See, this is like the mad ramblings of something you would find from like the Unabomber or some shit. They would post this in the neighborhood, the newspaper, and you'd be like, yeah, I do have a weird uncle who talks about the funk a lot. That must be the Unabomber. I'd be really worried about whoever Anonymous is. And by flip the sides, I mean have access to the funk in its loops. Additionally, alluding to the transition of the child becoming the caregiver in the circle of life. All right, 5:31 on this beautiful day, December 8th, 2019, is not the idea of paranormal, not a form of observation. I assume they mean the movie because they put it in quotes, and wasn't that movie coming out around them? Is not a form of observation, experience in relation to, and of an abstract idea. I am asking you now to influence and investigate into our futures the idea that it is either is or not. This guy's so stupid. Again, let me know in whatever way you are able, and we will expand from that whether input is. I am experiencing suspicion as to why I'm being asked this. You were rambling to yourself, Anonymous, you crazy person. Beginning from the time after these learning points. It's been 3 hours, bro. Call your mom. Like, you need a friend. Like, this is bad. I ask you to attempt to continue to prove to me. Continue to prove what? You're rambling to yourself for 3 hours now. I feel like once you've proven yourself to be a madman, you cannot make a point. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, you can't come back from this intellectually. Do you know? Once you've like
maybe
talked about like the birth of existence and who, what, when, and where.
See, I don't think you're reading anything.
Father, like this is for 27 things straight, and then you just list your favorite songs for no reason and don't mention a woman. Red flag, yellow flag, dude. You know, at least still yellow. Jesus. And of course, they mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. Her news today that Elon Musk was buying that, so this must be one of these like Elon incel type of people, and that just another tick in that column of like the manosphere.
Again, projections of assumptions.
Just makes me really uncomfortable to read this. Just because I can tell this person is like crying out for help. And like the male loneliness epidemic. It's because you're talking the bullshit like this on the internet. Nobody wants to.
I don't feel myself in that. I don't feel as a lonely male and that I have to reach out. Again, just trying to defend myself.
It's like the male loneliness epidemic might be caused by you talking like this to yourself all the time. Like no one wants. Who would be friends with this person? I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Beginning from the time after learning these points. Oh, good. I'm glad you learned something. Talking to yourself after 3 hours. I asked you to attempt to continue to prove to me or someone else something both wrong and right about the funk, that our existence is birthed from a line of abstract ideas and events, and together we can now and more easily prove or disprove these ideas to each other. And so far, it calculatively leads to productive negative. See, this is like AI. It's something like a kid put this in Word. I used to do this since like 7th grade to try to impress or piss off my 7th grade teacher. Honestly, I would just put like every single word, do the thesaurus button. Let's see what this sounds like. Or bad translation, like I said.
That's actually
kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but now within the hyper reality. Cool. And yeah, this. Do you know women? This person doesn't. I can tell.
I know
Influence
you.
X times random number
one.
generator times calculation times relation times X times effects times U plus me times the funk and so on. So we're understandably correct and correct until the opposite of further data is observed. Again, I believe that point is now because it is so far, very clearly, so able.
In fact, also in the defense of Do I Know Women, more women read this treatise in the readings than men do.
To recall and multiply and divide and now subtract together. Yeah, great use of the synonym button. Get thesaurus.com math terms. Sean, I have a suspicion that you're going to use all these to like make a song or like there's going to be some clip out there where you're like looping me just saying like incel manosphere.
Maybe I should.
Because there's no other point to this. There's no like this is not an intellectual exercise. I don't know. You just want me to read these words out loud. Yeah. As will every other thing after this moment, and then again before this point until April. I really like your music. I like your sound stuff though. So
thank you. Wow.
That's what I hope you do.
Oh yeah.
Weird quotes. Are able to use them for your sound. I like what you did on Spotify recently.
Thank you.
Learn how to explain the beliefs and answers or equations or the entirety of funk. I like when people talk about things instead of just saying what they want. Like stuff like this where it's like, for example, my friend, she got this email from this date. She had this amazing like 3-week date essentially, and this girl writes her an email. It's like, I'm just so scared. It reminds me of the scene in Jurassic Park. It reminds me of the scene in this book. But she never actually said what my friend did to scare her. I'm just like that kind of running. I was like, just what are you talking about? Like, give me an example. Give me a concrete. Give me like a light. Give me something, because you're talking too abstractly, and that's what I'm like kind of thinking about, like middle schoolers who like think they're being deep by saying like they a lot or the funk to say.
I fall into that category of people who, when I'm trying to explain things, I do it to a deeper level than a average neurotypical person would. Like neurotypicals are able to just kind of get to the point to a degree. I don't think a lot of them actually like. They also like do like small talk and everything, where like they don't really talk, they don't really communicate. They just kind of share the occasional things and stuff. It's different for everyone, you know. And I don't know if I'm neurotypical or neurodivergent, but I'm ADHD, so yes, I'm probably to a degree neurodivergent. But as you can see from these videos and these things and these writings and everything, I do go into tangents. And I when I'm trying to explain something, I find that I have to explain the whole thing, or else you're probably not going to understand. But even that can sometimes be confusing to some people. But also, it's from what I find in my experience, it's just because most people don't want to give it the time. They don't really care enough to actually listen to the full story, because they're already either thinking of whatever they want to say next, or they're just ready to move on to another conversation or moment. And not even about funk, just about random things, just about when you're talking about whatever. Yeah, I absolutely am working on that. Trying to shorten it down to the point, but at the same time, like, you don't also have to do that. It's not a rule of being. Sure, it can be helpful, but it's not a law. I can be as weird and abstract as I want. But as you can see, and as the argument that I'm making with this entire treatise, and you can see throughout the pages that you've probably, unless you're just reading and watching this video, I would hope that if you extend to the other pages, you would see how these 10 pages fit into it, and how your understanding would be greater to now that you're being exposed to this information that makes Penny feel like this. You would kind of understand where it's coming from a little bit more. You would kind of get the context. And so even though it may seem a little bit more abstract than kind of the rest of the treatise, it's a little more clear. But Penny's just not resonating with it at all.
I used to do this a lot too. We used to say like the nights, just to like remember like, oh, like something like we were secretly part of the funk. The Gorm. I was raised in Methodist.
The Gorm?
Yeah,
What is the Gorm? Are you talking about Kingdom of Death? I don't know. What is Gorm? An open source object relational mapper? Is that what you mean? Or Gormless? What is Gorm? Maybe this is... this got deleted. It's not... I don't... okay, Penny, I'd love to hear what the hell you're talking about with Gorm.
This person is clearly... Nope. You're in high school right now. Don't lie. And started around... Nope. You're in high school right now. Even more so during the beginning of my collegiate education. Honey, you live at home and go to HCC at most. I began to really question the ideas behind God and the patterns and data similar or relatable to the funk. When I began questioning and advancing my way both without and with those points, I began to start to feel like I was going to the bad place. I like that show. Or something hellish, or much more like in the show The Good Place. Jesus.
So one thing is, to lean back on what Penny said about people with grandeur, thinking that they're better than others, or to have the illusion of. And I'm getting those vibes here, especially from these judgments. Like, even if I was like someone who lived at home and went to HCC, is this how you treat that person? Is this how you treat servers or waiters and waitresses? Like, just because they are coming out of high school and stuff? Like, is that parability?
See what I'm talking about? Like, just, you can throw references around, but what the hell are you actually talking about? Maybe I'm too autistic for this. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Name a person, a place, a thing. Who, what, when, where, why? Like, give me something. And maybe because I just started in the middle, it's like devolved. And that was my other theory, is like, I know the first 81 pages were like a clip of a book, and now we're like getting into like discussion of like, like there's a Wikipedia link to The Good Place. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, so now it's making me think like, okay, is this just like a talk about sitcoms in general? Like, oh, did we get here because of Tobias Hook? Like, I have no, like, it's kind of funny, like, how did we get here? And maybe that's the other part of it. Like, the first 8 people got to have a philosophical conversation, and then like the last 10 people get to just be like, what the fuck is this like bullshit in the comments? This one like guy sucking his dick for 7 hours or whatever.
I wish I could suck my dick for 7 hours.
Somewhat of an arguably enjoyable expansion of past and future and the ideas around it, huh? Arguably enjoyable? Fucking say it to my face. It has led you, and sorry, that was aggressive. Led you here, and that is so significantly incredible that I implore you to continue to have suspicion and use that feeling of suspicion to closer understand.
Okay, even there, arguably enjoyable. I'm not saying that this is enjoyable, like, this is more enjoyable than not. What I'm saying that arguably this could be enjoyable to you, this could not be enjoyable to you. It's subjective. So yeah, I can see, again, how this contradictory, paradoxical, incomplete information can cause this type of reaction.
What I'm relating to you about the funk, because it is at an incalculable and graphical observed thesaurus button of plotted points of reference across time, space, and all of the funk. Anonymous continues to suck his own dick. 29 years isn't a lot, but keep going, baby. You calculated the meaning of your life and no one else's. Everyone is here for their own unique purpose. 6:10. They start at 3:45. 6:11. Indubitably. Great. I love when people comment on their own shit. 6:14.
And again, also, for clarification's sake, I know she's like pointing out the time and everything. It's not like I'm sitting there at the computer, like waiting for the next thing to say. Like, I would go away and do my own things and everything, then check back on this every once in a while. Like, when it was being more actively interacted with, then yeah, you know, it kind of left it open and I would refresh and everything. But I'm not just sitting there like, oh, I'm waiting for the next person to say something so that I can respond to them. But then also, like, I type a lot, and so yeah, you're sitting there, typing and editing, and then putting it back, and all of that takes time.
It's not. And I also have access to the 62 years of my father's experience and my mother's and you and your career. This guy wants to be a cult leader so bad. And everything on the internet or in libraries, and that time and information adds up and is able to be calculated just as you and I and everyone and everything else is doing at these points with minimal effort. Consider the fact of this reply that I am responding to. I am considering it maybe too much because you've responded to yourself 24 times probably. I'm on the second to last page. This is weird. The existence of this comment has influenced and affected my thought, performance, and being on a metaphysical and mental level. Like, I keep doing like the Jim face of the camera, like I can't believe it. As well as yours and all others, and it didn't have a less than 3 within it, so I knew it is not, quote, me who said it, but an individual form of, quote, us, and it is understanding what I am saying, and so it is closer connected to the funk forever.
Breathe.
You are not getting closer to anyone with this kind of language, with this sort of indirect, talking above you bullshit. And then I had to go through this too, like I said. Like, I used to do this too when I thought I was being like a deep 7th grader. And then you realize, like, it's better to have friends. So we got, like, open bracket, triangle, hashtag, ampersand.
And again, in my defense, unless everyone is lying to me, everyone else in the treatise, besides like Penny and one other reading that just kind of wasn't taken seriously, but I don't know what their thoughts on it. But like, I do see this people connecting to it, even personally in my own life outside of these Funk readings. When people do want to talk about this, because it comes up in conversation, I see how they connect to it. Again, these types of responses are super rare, but they're so strong and powerful. And again, it just makes me know that I'm not being clear enough yet to reach someone with this mindset, or this type of, I guess, projection or assumptions towards this information. Again, she came into it annoyed and pissed off at it, and then continued being annoyed and pissed off, rather than like attempting to understand it. She just wanted to be continued to be pissed off and annoyed by it. And maybe that's my fault, but I think it's what I'm looking for, cooperative effort here in that.
And I don't know what this is supposed to be, honestly. I don't know if it's supposed to like look like a ASCII like eyes or something.
No,
at some point you'll be able to Google that equation. It's an eventual. Okay, let's Google it. So eventually you'll be able to. It's today the day. It's called the golden. Okay, the symbol is not standard.
I don't know what she just Googled.
What you're solving for.
I can't see it.
What?
But
the equation is false. Oh, okay.
When you Google this, it should just.
Says the equation is false. I don't know if you can see this. I'm just realizing how tiny like the picture is.
Yeah, I wish I could. I have no idea what you were looking at, but yes, this equation is false because it's not a real equation. It's just random stuff. But if you Google it, it'll take you to the treatise through the archive link. Hold on, let me Google this. Oh, well, now it's just a bunch of math shit. It's not bringing. It's not coming up with the treatise. It used to. Now, if you like Google other parts of the treatise, they'll come up occasionally. Regardless.
It says the equation is false. So someday you'll be able to Google that equation, and I just did, and it says it's false. Now what?
Again, I have no idea.
It's 5 years since he said that. I'd be curious to see what Anonymous says about that equation now, but I can Google it.
Hold on.
Okay. The symbol is not standard. To have friends. So we got like open bracket, triangle, hashtag, ampersand. I don't know what this is supposed to be, honestly. I don't know if it's supposed to like look like a ASCII like eyes or something. At some point you'll be able to Google that equation. It's an eventual. Okay, let's Google it. So eventually you'll be able to. It's today the day. It's called the Golden. Okay. The symbol is not standard.
The Golden?
What you're solving for. What? The equation is false. Oh, okay. Hey, AI says the equation is false. I don't know if you can see this. I'm just realizing how tiny like the picture is. But it says the equation is false. So someday you'll be able to Google that equation.
Also,
and I just did,
Golden's
it
not
says
sure.
it's false.
I have no idea what you are.
I mean, it's 5 years since he said that. I'd be curious to see what Anonymous says about that equation now that I can Google it. 170. So I should read 170, right? Across the funk, and the funk provides. Guide goes on for the 4th straight hour. Again, by an advancement of by the combination of relatable abstract differences within the perception of reality, your and my theory of the funk are able to be both different, yet simultaneous. Did you just discover that two people can have two different thoughts? Wow, Anonymous. It only took you 5,000 words and 10 pages. I'm really proud of you. And further proving and expanding our theories together. See, you are in theory, provably, these things, as we are knowingly well researched on each in all areas, we have reached across the funk. I did that once in college. That was a joke. And also a person of rage, as 2 other examples have said before me. Bro.
You're almost done.
Is equal to love. Lesson 3 is equal to love. Wait, hold on. Is that part of it? Okay.
You're so close to being done.
I feel like there's supposed to be like emojis or something and it got messed up. I don't think it's supposed to be an equation. I don't think it's supposed to throw like a 3. I do love you because we're all the same. Good job. In this previous recorded data, I have now written and collected in a mistake of communication between the funk. Do you ever been to Meow Wolf? This feels like something you would see in like the bathroom at Meow Wolf or something. Like
totally.
Like a non-clue, but like just weird nonsense.
I definitely agree with that.
To make you feel like you're in an escape room, but not. While still being information that is incorrect and correct. How is information incorrect and incorrect? Is that a thing?
Yes, some things are superpositional until they are observed to fully be incorrect or correct. Just like when you're presenting a question or an equation or something like that, we don't know if it's right or wrong until we figure out if it's right or wrong. So information can be incorrect and correct until it is observed as one or the other. Now, to say like once we have correct information, to call it incorrect, yes, that would be wrong because they're 2 separate forms. But they can exist as the in-between until we observe them as right or wrong.
I mean, you've proven you can say a lot of words. I'm actually really impressed by this person being able to say so many words without literally saying jack shit, but I like your song at the beginning. It was pretty impressive. That part was interesting. I'll say that clearly this is a world I'm not exposed to typically because of like I'm obviously not in like the incel manosphere, but to see like
Neither am I.
what that looks like is kind of interesting. I hope if this, I mean, at first I thought this was a young person and then like a very young person, like 11, 10 maybe. This is pre-COVID, so you can't blame like weird socialization.
I was 29 at the time.
I would worry about this person now after COVID, like having more internet brain essentially.
Life has only gotten better for me. Life is very good.
In the past 5
And it has been very successful.
years probably hasn't helped this person a lot. So I worry about that, and I don't know if that's a philosophical input or whatever. Did I suck them? Share my thoughts. I mean, I guess that's my thoughts. It just made me sad and worried about whoever this person is who wrote 27 comments about literally nothing to themselves. In the style and the voice of like a wannabe cult leader, like the way that somebody might talk about God with like a rambling idiot might talk about religion, or.
And so it's difficult to not sound like that because there are definitely a lot of people who have. We have those examples. We have those examples of like cult leaders who do this type of shit to take advantage of people, and so like. I can absolutely see how it can be interpreted as that, but it is not that. And if anyone does use it in that way, then they are misinterpreting this information. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about that.
It almost kind of feels like somebody is trying to do a book report without reading the book. Also, like I said, there's like a lot of like just thesaurus.com, like the kind of thing that I would do just to try to hit a character count or a word count, that kind of thing. I don't think it's particularly intelligent whatsoever, or thought out, or made a point. I don't think it literally made any points, which is honestly impressive in this many words.
It didn't make any points for you, but when Trey read it a second ago, he seemed to get the point of it. Again, he read the exact same pages. He didn't read any of the other pages. I've never discussed funk with Trey before these moments. And so you see the two different interpretations. Now, maybe Penny would argue that Trey is an incel and he's in the manosphere, but I'm pretty sure Trey is married. He's a very successful person. Used to sing in the operas. Like, very talented guy. So I don't know. It seems that, like, again, there's this projection of aversion.
I don't know if I could do it. I don't think I could write 10 words without making a single point. Like, I could not do that. So I'll give it that. Well, Sean, I hope that you still like me as a person.
No harm, no foul.
Even though I did not necessarily enjoy this reading. But I appreciate that you let me do it, and I wish you all the best, and hope this is what you're looking for, and this was honest, and that's hopefully what you're looking for, so appreciate you, and have a good day.
And that's what I really appreciate, that, like, it was honest, it was genuine. She had this reaction and shared that reaction, in my opinion, it's a misinterpreted reaction. And so again, Penny, if you ever do engage with this again in some way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and if you still think me or this to be just the ramblings of an incel, bullshit incel sucking their own cock. But I hope that what is the let me see if I have it. Nose on this. Sorry for the dead air. Okay. Okay, so how I ended my response was, but that's why I appreciate your honesty. Skepticism is one of the most important of doxastic and normative defeaters. So thank you for keeping my mouth occupied in conversation rather than for allowing me to suck my own dick. And so I hope I'm not continuing to suck my own dick with all this. I don't think I was sucking my dick with that, though I can see how some of the information and its presentation can seem as masturbatory. Because spirituality can be masturbatory. Ideology, religion, any belief or anything can be masturbatory. But yeah, again, no harm, no foul, Penny. Congrats on you and Kevin getting married and everything. I know it's been a while, but post marriage and everything. I wish y'all the best. I'm sure we'll run into each other at a show or something eventually, and we'll have this conversation, and you'll probably get annoyed at that too. So again, Trey and Penny, thank y'all again immaculately for being a part of this project. If you yourselves or anyone of you listening or watching this down below have any comments or opinions to share, please, I would love to hear them. Yeah, and so thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, listening, reading, doing whatever you do, existing. I love you. And in case I don't see you in the future, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. As always, the funk provides. Peace out, y'all. I'm going to go suck my own dick.